Labguy here. Let's talk about miscellaneous small black and white CRT monitors today, shall we? What we're looking at is the Panasonic 1-inch or 1.5-inch viewfinder from the PK-200 color camera. That camera was also sold under the RCA name as the CC-002. This viewfinder has a couple of interesting features which I will demonstrate for you in a moment. It has a 2-to-1 input selector switch, which originally allowed the user to switch between the live camera view or VTR playback. There is also a level indicator bar, a meter, built into the video, which is controlled by an external DC voltage of between 1.5 to 3 volts, and a tally indicator by the length of the bar. You either have the bar the full width of the screen, or it is 1/4 the width of the screen, to indicate whether the unit was in record or playback. So let's look at that now. If you'll look at the bottom of the screen, you will see the indicator bar there. I will begin turning up the voltage, and you can see the indicator bar rising up. It has maxed out at 2.8 volts. It could go higher. There are 3 adjustment pots on the CRT circuit boards to adjust for that. I'm not going to mess with it because, one, I don't have a screwdriver tiny enough to access them. So let's go to the bottom of the screen, and at the bottom of the screen that's 1.5 volts. The middle of the screen is supposed to be calibrated for 2 volts, and I'm reading 2.2 on my power supply. And then the very top of the screen is at 3 volts. You can see that the bar has reached its maximum and has stopped. So the 3 pots for aligning this monitor are out of whack. It's not a big deal. We're not going to deal with that. So let's move the bar back to the center, and I'll demonstrate the the tally indicator. That is activated by, I'm sure my arm's in the way, no? That is activated by applying 9 volts to the tally input, which I'm doing now. You can see that when I do that, the bar becomes half as long. It still works as an indicator, as you can see. It moves up and down with the control voltage. So this little monitor would allow you to build something that also has an analog indicator of your choice, as long as you can scale your sensor to the 1.5 to 3 volt range. So pretty neat little trick that this monitor can do. That is the Panasonic viewfinder from the PK-200, PK-300, and the RCA CC-002 color cameras from 1978. The other interesting feature this monitor has is it has a AB selector switch. Let me demonstrate that for you. Oh, there's a picture of Labguy in there. And if we push the button, we go to my Shiba-Soku generator. Let's look at some color bars. Oh, nice and black and white. Color bars with a little bit of grayscale at the bottom. Crosshatch number 1. Crosshatch number 2, which is hard to see. Cross and dots. And just dots. You can see that this little monitor has really excellent linearity. So there you go. That's the Panasonic viewfinder from the PK-200 or RCA CC-002 color camera. Okay, let's take a close look at this monitor. This is the front, the top view. You can see the little CRT in there. Here's the high voltage power supply side, the main signal processing and deflection board, and on this side is the indicator board. That little indicator, for the most part, is generated on this board. So let's say you've got one of these viewfinders now and you want to make it work. How do you make it work? It's pretty straightforward. First, get a female jack that fits this plug. I will show you the pinout. This is known as a DIN 8-pin 270 degree plug. Notice the pins in a circle are 270 degrees with one central pin, which is pin 8. You will need to get the mating female jack, which you can find online if you search for DIN 8-pin plug, DIN 8-pin socket. And what I've done for this monitor, since it has a power input, I use an orange wire for the plus 9 volts and a black wire for the power ground. That's these two. The yellow wire is my input for the indicator position to move the line up and down. The green wire, you either let it float or you attach it to the 9 volts to make the indicator line full width or quarter width. I added 2 RCA input jacks, which are wired appropriately to the back of the connector, for 2 video inputs, which you select with the push button on the front. But Labguy, what's the pinout? I'm glad you asked. Check this out. You're looking at the 8-pin connector from the point of view of looking straight into the plug or at the back side of the female connector. Let's quickly go through the pin connections. Pins 1 and 6 are video input 1. Pin 1 is the hot lead. Pin 6 is the video ground. Pins 3 and 7 are video input number 2. Pin 3 is the hot lead. Pin 7 is the video ground. Pins 2 and 8 are the power and power ground input. Pin 2 connects to plus 9 volts. Do not connect to 12 volts. It is a 9 volt adapter. The negative lead from your power supply goes to pin 8. Pin 4 is the indicator input. Apply to this a voltage between 1.5 to 3 volts. That is the indicator range. Pin 5 is the tally input. Tally is the length of the indicator line, and it either floats or you connect it to 9 volts. You can do that with a switch, or you could possibly do it with a transistor. I'm not sure. I've also attached it to ground with no negative impact. So that's how you connect the Panasonic 1.5-inch viewfinder. Let's look at a Sony black and white monitor now. Check this beauty out. This is a 4-inch paddle tube is what I call it. It's the same tube as used in the Watchman televisions. That's the monitor right there. We have the electronics board and the CRT, which is a flat CRT. I'll show you that better when I turn it off. So what do you think of them apples? I never realized how handsome I actually am. As you can see, it's a pretty compact unit compared to the size of my hand, but it's a pretty big screen. It is a cathode ray tube based system, and it's probably less than an inch deep. Let me power it down and show you. I don't want to get bit. Alright, so there's a plastic protector for the back of the tube I'll take off now. And this is the thickness of the tube. Yeah. So that's how flat the tube is. You notice the curvature. That's because the electron gun shoots the beam up, and with this curvature it only needs 1 or 2 degrees of deflection in the vertical direction to produce a full width, full height image on this tube. This is probably the coolest CRT ever made. As you can see, it's typical of a black and white CRT. It doesn't require much electronics, though that's a misnomer. The electronics, of course, are highly integrated these days. There's a lot more on that board than it looks like. So that's my little Sony flat monitor that I got on eBay a while back and have been meaning to show off ever since then. Pretty cool monitor, eh? So that wraps up today's video. I'm trying to keep it short to make up to you folks for the last video. That was an epic. So welcome new subscribers. Hi, how you doing? Glad you signed up. Call a friend, tell them to sign up too. Why should you be the only ones, right? Greetings to all my current and existing subscribers. You guys rock. You have good taste if you watch this channel. Now, unlike the Cannibal channel, where they want subscribers who taste good. But that's a whole different subject for another video. If you've enjoyed today's video, you guys know what to do. You know all the YouTube cliches, which I will spare you because my channel doesn't have stupid viewers. And until next time, Labguy out.